60% of Google searches now end without a single click. AI summaries answer the question before anyone scrolls. And when an AI engine does cite a source, that traffic converts at 23 times the rate of traditional organic search. 23 times. That is not a rounding error, that is an entirely different game, and most content teams are not playing it. Here is the problem. The average article still takes 8 to 12 hours to produce, according to Orbit Media's annual blogging survey. Some agencies bill 40 hours per post by the time you count the brief, the draft, the edits, the images, the formatting, and the upload. Meanwhile, 94% of marketers plan to use AI for content creation in 2026. HubSpot, State of Marketing 2026. Those two facts do not add up. The companies still treating AI as a drafting shortcut are burning $1,000 to $3,000 per article. The companies that have built actual pipelines are producing the same output for $50 to $150. That is not a mod. That is a structural cost advantage that compounds with every traditional organic per Bright Conductor AEO/Geo benchmarks. Schema optimized content drives 3x citation lift. What does a modern AI content pipeline actually look like? A modern AI content pipeline is a 7-stage end-to-end workflow from deep research to live deployment, where each stage uses a purpose-fit tool and hands off to the next without human bottlenecks. Not ChatGPT for a draft, a full production system. Let me describe what we actually run at Adam Silva Consulting, because I am tired of reading vague descriptions of AI-assisted workflows that amount to prompting a language model and calling it a system. The 7 stages are research, writing, image generation, metadata embedding, TTS narration, schema and CTA integration, and publish and deploy. Every stage has a defined tool, a defined input, a defined output, and a defined time budget. When the stages run cleanly, a fully formatted, schema-complete, audio and video-ready article ships in under 2 hours. Here is the contrast with the old way. Traditional content production looked like this. Research took 2 days if you were doing it properly. Brief writing took a day. First draft took 2 days. Editorial revision took another day. Images, sourcing, editing, rights clearing took a day. Publish and format took half a day. You are at 6.5 working days minimum. If you outsourced it, that was $500 to $2,000 for the writing alone, plus $200 to $500 for images, plus dev time to implement schema, plus editorial overhead. The Content Marketing Institute's 2026 B2B Content Marketing Report puts fully loaded agency cost at $20,500 or more per post for enterprises. 8 articles per month is $20,000 before you have even thought about video. The integrated pipeline does not just speed this up. It restructures who touches what and when, removing the handoff latency that turns 1-day tasks into 3-day tasks. How much does traditional content production actually cost? At agency rates, a fully loaded article costs $1,000 to $3,000 per piece, and most of that cost is labor latency, not labor value. When you run 8 articles per month, you are spending $8,000 to $24,000 on a production model that an integrated AI pipeline replaces for under $1,200. Break it down fully. The writer runs $500 to $2,000 depending on schema implementation, blog posting, FactBidge, video object, speakable, requires a developer who knows what they are doing. Figure 1 to 2 hours at agency dev rates. Video adds $200 to $500 for even a basic talking head summary. Editorial oversight is typically another hour. CMS formatting and upload is another 30 minutes. That is your real cost per article, not the writer's quoted rate. Now multiply it. 8 articles per month at the midpoint, $1,500 per article, is $12,000 per month. Over a year, $144,000. For a content program that, if you are being honest with yourself, produces intermittent results because the volume is too low to build real topical authority. If you are paying $2,000 per article and your competitor is paying $100, you are not competing on content quality. You are competing with one arm tied behind your back, and they are publishing 4 times a month while you publish once. Rob Polonsky, Managing Director, Adam Silva Consulting the Pipeline, does not compromise quality. It eliminates the friction that inflates costs without adding value. Research does not take 2 days when your research engine processes 100 plus sources in 30 minutes. Images do not take a day when generation, sizing, and metadata embedding runs in 20 minutes. Schema implementation does not need a developer when it is baked into the CMS workflow. Why do 75% of AI content teams fail to see meaningful results? They use AI tools in silos. They prompt ChatGPT for a draft, pull a stock image, paste it into their CMS, and call it an AI content strategy. The 25% who see real results have connected research, writing, images, metadata, audio, video, and publish into a single workflow, one that runs consistently, not ad hoc. This is the number from the Content Marketing Institute's 2026 B2B Content Marketing Report that nobody talks about. 89% of enterprises now use generative AI for content creation, but only 25% of teams report meaningful business results. Think about that. 3/4 of the companies running AI content. That is not an AI problem. That is a pipeline problem. What does silo content AI look like in practice? The team uses a language model to speed up drafting. They might use a different tool for image generation. They manually format the article in the CMS. Schema markup either does not exist or gets applied inconsistently. There is no audio narration. There is no video. Every article is a one-off production, not a repeatable output of a system. The 25% who win have figured out that the tools are not the advantage. The pipeline is the advantage. Individual AI tools, language models, image generators, TTS engines, video platforms, are available to every competitor with a credit card. What is not available to every competitor is a tightly integrated workflow that connects all of them without human bottlenecks. That integration is the moat, not the subscription. There is also a schema gap. A properly structured article ships with blog posting schema, fact-page schema for every question, answer pair, video object schema when video is attached, and speakable schema marking the sections AI engines should read aloud in voice results. BrightEdge's Conductor AEO/Geo benchmarks report documents a 3x citation lift with comprehensive schema versus unstructured content. Articles with expert quotes increase AI citation rates by 41%, per Georgia Tech's Geo research. You cannot implement that consistently when every article is hand-built. What happens when you actually audit these websites? We built a 9-pillar scoring system called ACRA, Agentic Commerce Readiness Assessment, and ran it against 58 websites. The average score was 28.9 out of 100, 78% failed. The people telling you how to do AI content cannot pass a basic readiness test themselves. I need to share this because it changed how I think about it. At Adam Silva Consulting, we built the ACRA scanner to measure whether a website is ready for AI agent commerce, structured data, protocol compliance, AEO optimization, social authority, press coverage, AI engine citations, and LLM recommendations across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, and Copilot. 9 pillars scored from 0 to 100. We have now run 58 scans, and the numbers are brutal. The average overall score across 58 sites is 28.9 out of 100, 78% scored below 50, a failing grade. 71% scored below 30, which we classify as critical failure. The average projected annual revenue loss from AI invisibility is $1.08 million per business. 69% of scanned sites have zero protocol compliance, no UCP manifest, no ACP endpoints, no AP to trust layer. 64% have structured data scores below 20 out of 100 ASC-weighted pillars. Every scan uses the same criteria. Every report card is transparent. You can scan your own site and see exactly how each score is calculated. Pillar 1. Protocol compliance, UCP manifest, ACP endpoints, AP2 trust layer, agent.json, LLMs.txt. Does the site speak the language AI agents understand? Pillar 2, structured data, organization, product/service, FAQ, breadcrumb, review, speakable. Can AI engines read the site programmatically? Pillar 3, AEO, answer engine optimization, 12-point framework, SSR answer first paragraphs, JSON-L depth, FAQ schema, internal links, content depth, author credentials, publication dates, speakable markup, Core Web Vitals, Image Alt Text. Pillar 4, Geo, Generative Engine Optimization. EEAT Signals, Topical Hub Structure, Research Citations, Glossary/terminology, Article Schema, Internal Link Density. Pillar 5, SEO Foundation, HTTPS, Title Tags, Meta Descriptions, Canonical, Robots.txt, Sitemap, Mobile Viewport, H1 Structure, Image Accessibility. Pillar 6, Social Authority, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Presence plus schema.org, SEMIA's entity linking. Pillar 7, Press Coverage, Press Page, Newsroom, Press Releases, Media Kit, Wikipedia/Wikidata Entry, Industry Directory Listings, G2, Capterra, Trustpilot. Pillar 8, AI Authority, Brand Entity Verification, LLMs.txt, EAT Depth, Research-Backed Content, Podcast Presence, External Citation Density. Pillar 9, LLM Recommendation, Cross-Platform Scoring across ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Copilot based on combined signal strength. The overall score is a weighted composite. The scoring logic is in our open code base. Run it on any site, including ours. We scanned 40 sites. The average score was 25.3 out of 100. 95% failed. Not small businesses, the biggest names in marketing, SEO, and AI content. Frank Kern, Dean Graziosi, and Sam Ovens, 3 pillars of the info marketing industry. Each score 3 out of 103. That is not a failing grade. That is a site AI engines cannot detect. Dan Kennedy, the godfather of direct response marketing, scores 23. Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels score 22 and 30. The entire direct response playbook, squeeze pages, webinar funnels, email sequences, one-click upsells, is invisible to AI agents. These systems were built for a world where Google sent traffic to landing pages. That world is ending. 60% of searches are now zero-click. AI agents do not fill out opt-in forms. The SEO authorities are not faring better. Neil Patel scores 38. Moz, the company that defined SEO for a generation, scores 38. SEMrush, a $3 billion public company that sells SEO tools, scores 31 on their own site. Backlink. Julian Goldie teaches SEO to 500,000 YouTube subscribers from a personal site that scores 26 and an agency site that scores 20. These are the people writing the guides and selling the courses. Their own infrastructure does not meet the standard they should be teaching. The AI content companies are the most damning. Blotato, the only AI content company to raise venture capital, scores 13. Jasper AI raised $125 million and scores 43. Copy.ai scores 26. The companies built to help you create AI-optimized content have websites that AI engines cannot properly parse. They are selling AI content tools while running websites built for 2019 Google. Even Gary Vee, who built his empire on being early to every platform, scores 29. Amy Porterfield scores 18. Copyblogger, the site that taught a generation how to write for the web, scores 21. Brad Lee scores 29. Grant Cardone scores 45, the highest of the old guard, and still a D. Direct response marketing, info marketing, funnel-based lead general, keyword-stuffed SEO. AI has decided it does not want any of it. AI engines do not click squeeze pages. They do not watch webinar replays. They do not opt into email sequences. They parse structured data, evaluate schema compliance, check protocol endpoints, and cite sources that meet their trust threshold. Every business built on the old playbook is invisible to the system that is replacing Google as the front door to commerce. This is not a criticism of these people as operators. Alex Hormozi built a $100 million portfolio. Tony Robbins is a global brand. Dan Kennedy wrote the playbook that trained a generation of marketers. But the playbook was written for an economy that ran on search engine traffic and email lists. The new economy runs on AI agent discovery, structured data, and protocol compliance. Nobody? Not the SEO gurus, not the funnel builders, not the AI tool companies, not the course creators. The average score across 40 scanned sites is 25.3 out of 100. That is an abysmal, industry-wide failure to adapt. We scored 31 on our first ACRA scan. 3 months later, 81. The difference is not budget. Hormozy has orders of magnitude more resources than we do. The difference is that we built the pipeline and the infrastructure together. Content without infrastructure is invisible. Infrastructure without content has nothing to serve. You need both, and the pipeline described in this article produces both in every cycle. We ran the ACRA scanner on our own site every week during the build. We failed the first scan, scored a 31. That is the whole point. You do not know what AI engines see until you measure it. 3 months later, we scored 81 because we built the pipeline and the infrastructure together. Most companies are still at 31 and do not know it. Rob Polonsky, Managing Director, Adam Silva Consulting. This is why the pipeline matters more. An article produced without schema, without metadata, without structured data, without voice narration, without proper JSON LD. That article is invisible to the AI engines that now control 60% of search interactions. The pipeline produces articles that score high on every pillar because every pillar is baked into every stage. You cannot bolt that on after the fact. You have to build it into the production system from day one. What does Google actually say about AI-generated content? Google does not penalize AI-generated content. Full stop. Google's Search Central guidelines focus on helpful content signals, quality, originality, and user benefit, not production method. The risk is not using AI. The risk is publishing low-quality content narration, metadata embedding, voice narration, schema integration, and publish and deploy. Total elapsed time, 90 minutes to 2 hours per article, depending on complexity. Stage 1, Deep Research. The research stage uses ASC's proprietary research engine to process 100 to 200 sources in a single session. Not reading summaries. Actual source synthesis, raw data, statistics, competing arguments, citation hierarchy. A human researcher doing this properly takes 2 days. The engine does it in 30 minutes and produces a structured brief with Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 source classifications. Georgia Tech's Geo research documents a 40% improvement in AI citation visibility when content is built on properly cited primary sources, which is why the research stage is not optional. Stage 2, Article Drafting, 45 minutes. Drafting runs on the current best-in-class writing model with the author's voice profile loaded. We evaluate and swap models quarterly. The pipeline is model agnostic by design. Not a generic, write me an article about X prompt. A structured generation pass with the research brief as input, the article outline as scaffolding, and specific voice parameters tuned to the author. The output is a full-length draft. Human review happens here. 15 to 20 minutes of editing for accuracy, voice, and insight sharpening. This is where the 4.1 times collaboration multiplier lives. Stage 3, Image generation, 20 minutes. 5 images per article. OG, diagram, comparison, infographic, and workflow. Our image generation engine runs at 2K resolution with 16:9 aspect ratio, output as PNG. Generation runs in parallel. All 5 images are ready before the article draft is finalized. No stock photo licensing, no image editor, no art director bottleneck. Stage 4, metadata embedding, 10 minutes. XMP metadata and JSON LD image object schema get embedded directly into each PNG using Sharp. Every image shipped from this pipeline carries embedded structured data, author attribution, copyright, description, and machine-readable schema. This is invisible to readers and invisible to most content teams. AI systems parse it on every crawl. Stage 5, Voice narration, 5 minutes. ASC's voice synthesis engine analyzes the article structure and maps emotional inflections paragraph by paragraph, aggressive for industry callouts, confident for solution sections, measured for data. The author's clone voice generates the entire narration in parallel segments with zero-shot voice matching, producing broadcast-quality audio in under 60 seconds. Each segment is normalized, cross-faded, and assembled into a finished MP3 ready for the audio object schema that improves voice search and AI assistant citation rates. No per-minute billing. No character limits, no manual editing. Stage 6, Schema and CTA integration, 15 minutes. Blog posting schema, fact schema, video object schema with proper contentual and embeddural fields, speakable schema marking key sections. These get assembled from the article structure programmatically, not hand-coded. CTAs are inserted at defined structural positions, not wherever there is white space. Stage 7, publish and deploy, 15 minutes. Strapi CMS receives the article object via API. The Astro rebuild triggers on the VPS Cloudflare cache purge fires. The article is live, indexed, and serving schema-complete HTML within minutes of the deploy trigger. What is the ROI of an AI content pipeline? 85% to 95% cost reduction per article, 10x content velocity, and AEO traffic that converts at 23x the rate. Companies with 400 or more index pages generate 6x more leads than those with fewer pages. And the pipeline is the only way to build that library at sustainable cost. Let us run the numbers directly. Metric traditional production AI content pipeline cost per article $1, A, $3,000 A, $150 time per article A, 40 hours 90 min, 2 hours articles per month, same budget, A, 8A, 50 schema implementation manual / inconsistent automated 100% coverage audio narration not included. Breitage's Conductor AEO / Geo benchmarks report shows that traffic sourced from AI engine citations, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI overviews, Bing Copilot, converts at 23x the rate of traditional organic traffic, 23 times. That is not a formatting preference. That is a fundamental. Users asking AI engines about specific topics are further along in a decision process than users clicking blue links out of general curiosity. Over 88% of searches that trigger AI overviews have informational intent, how to, what is, which means AI is now the front door for exactly the kind of top-of-funnel traffic that traditional blogs used to own. HubSpot's State of Marketing 2026 report adds the compounding layer. Companies that blog consistently generate 67% more leads than companies that do not. Companies with 400 or more index pages generate 6x more leads than companies with fewer pages. The math on this is not complicated. You can either spend 3 years slowly building a 400-page library at $2,000 per article and $800,000 in content spend, or you build the same library at pipeline cost in a fraction of the time. Every article is a compounding asset, additional schema depth, additional internal link opportunities, additional topical authority signals, additional pages eligible for AI citation. Every article we ship adds to the knowledge graph, deepens the topical cluster, and creates one more entry point for AI engines to discover this organization. You cannot build that kind of infrastructure one expensive article at a time. Adam Silva, CEO Adam Silva, Consulting the Deloitte State of AI in the Enterprise 2026 report documents this pattern across the organizations actually seeing AI-driven revenue results. They invested in integrated production infrastructure, not individual tools. The investment is in the pipeline architecture, the connected workflow, not in accumulating subscriptions. The part that does not work if you skip it, I want to be direct about one thing before you try to replicate this. The pipeline only performs at the numbers I have described when every stage runs correctly. The single most common failure point we see when teams try to build their own version is skipping stage 6, the schema bundle. The article looks identical to readers with or without it, but to AI systems, a schema-complete article and an unstructured article are categorized. Speakable schema tells Google Assistant and Alexa which sections to read aloud in voice results. Fact schema creates eligibility for FAQ-rich results and AI-generated answer selection. Video object schema with a proper contentual is what makes a video visible to AI systems, not just to human visitors. Blog posting schema with correct date published, date modified, and author fields is how AI systems establish recency and credibility. None of that is technically complicated, but it is invisible to most content workflows because it does not affect what the page looks like in a browser. It only affects what AI systems do with it. And if AI citation traffic converts at 23x organic, Skipping Schema to save 15 minutes per article is one of the most expensive shortcuts a content team can take. The topical authority framework we published earlier this year covers the hub and spoke architecture that this pipeline feeds. The pipeline produces the articles. The architecture determines how they connect. Both are required. This is not a system for companies that are comfortable publishing one blog post a quarter and waiting to see what happens. It is not for teams that want to test AI content before committing to a process change. If that description fits your organization, do not build this pipeline. The setup investment will not pay off at low volume. This is for the marketing team that knows they should be publishing weekly and has been blocked by production cost and capacity. It is for the organization that understands content is the compounding asset that every other channel eventually derives authority from. If that is where you are, the pipeline is the only version of this that scales. Your competitors publish weekly. You published last quarter. The AEO/GEO blog creator engine produces 428 fully optimized articles per month, each with video summaries, complete schema bundles, and AI citation tracking. Purpose-built content engines reduce effective cost per article by 85% to 95% compared to agency models.